What's up, everyone, and welcome to Shared Save the Game Media's weekly gaming discussion podcast. I am your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're talking about a potential delay to the PlayStation 6. Xbox is in some financial trouble, and we got rumors of a PlayStation State of Play and Nintendo Direct for next week. Before we get to that and more, I'm going to introduce my co-host, hanging with me again, Sam Heaney. How are you, my friend?
Considerably better than I was last week, I can tell you that much for free.
Mm-hmm.
Still not over the cold. The throat has recovered. I still sound a bit nasally, but like on the whole, I'm doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I couldn't have been doing much worse, I don't think. But and here I am. I'm doing well. I said I was rushing in. I came in at the 11th hour for
Mm-hmm.
today because I had to run down and get some supplies because I had a sneezing fit. But
Yep.
I seem to be past it. Touch wood. I do have a tissue on standby there. How are you, my friend?
I'm also doing a lot better than last week. For anyone that doesn't, anyone that isn't a patron, I recorded my Q&A for our Patreon supporters on Friday, and I probably had to edit maybe 10 minutes of that like 30-minute podcast that was just me like dying in between sentences, or like I would just have coughing fits, and it's just like it's right there uncontrollable. So I did a lot of editing for that. And then I was lucky enough to be on the Fandom Foundry podcast. It's Todd Oxtra's show, his new stuff, and it was me, Mr. Badbit from the Trophy Room, and Eric Game Positive from Season Gaming. We were doing a best of 2025 for like games, gaming news. It was like a 2.5 hour show. Right around, I would say, maybe the hour 45 mark, my throat was kind of like going, and
Yep.
then I was having to like turn my camera off because I started dying from coughing, and it was like, bro, this is I'm struggling right now, but we got through. Um, I've been recovering all week. I would say yesterday was probably like the day I felt like, okay, it's basically over. Like I
Yeah.
still have a few coughs every once in a while, even today, but it's basically over. So like 2 weeks of suffering are done. Hopefully yours is also done soon as well, because
Yep.
man, it sucks.
Honestly, I don't like. I'm sure I have, but it's the most unwell I've felt in a long time, which is
Hmm.
strange. I think it was, a few family members had it, and people in the local area that I know have had it as well. So I don't know if there's something going around. There must be, but
It,
yes, on the other side of
it's
it, thank God.
it's funny because my wife got sick like a few days before I started getting sick, but we've had kind of like completely different symptoms. Like
Oh,
she was very like congested, and like I had like
mm,
I would say like 1 or 2 days of some congestion, but like mine has mainly been like throat and like lung and stuff, and she's had none of that. And I was like, did we get different illnesses somehow at the exact same time? It's like I don't know, it's a whole thing, but
it's
we're
symbiosis. You've
yeah.
just spread the symptoms across each other. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
Spread it
Well,
out.
I'll take this. You take that. Then we can move on. But I'm lucky that, because last time I feel like I had something like this, I had to go get like antibiotics and stuff. It
Hmm.
was a whole thing. But enough of health talk, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. I see some people in the chat. Thank you so much. Make sure, if you are new here, to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on YouTube. It does help us. Um, and why don't we get into some housekeeping, and then we can get into the show proper. So this is Shared Save, our gaming discussion podcast. We're live every Thursday right here on youtube.com/Save the Game Media. If you can't catch us live, we post every Sunday on your favorite audio platform of choice. While you're over there, please, I would love if you could drop us a 5-star review. You could drop us another star review too if you really want to, but 5-star really would go a long way. If you want to support us even further, get early audio access to this show and exclusive bonus content like our Patreon exclusive episode of Shared Save every month, my monthly Q&A, and more, head over to patreon.com/Save the Game Media. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current supporters. So thank you to Sam Hall, Alpaca Tom, Rick Davis, who I just see pop into the chat, Silkin It, I also see him in the chat, Dave Harp, David Hotright, Lillian, Marcus O'Neill, Brendan Myers, aka The Winter Gamer, Nikolai Knight, Fabulous Brianna, Brandon, Black Wyver, David Burdett, Dinglebomb, Brandon Eck, and Savoy Prime, who is also hanging out in the chat. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Sam, that is housekeeping out of the way. So why don't you tell me about all the games you've been playing while you've been ill?
Yes. Well, still, I mean, well, not still. Like this past week, I have still been playing Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora for the
Hmm.
idea coverage. That is now done. I'm finished with that. Hooray! Hurrah! Hooray!
Woo!
That's over. Still really enjoyed the DLC. You know, I said the other week that it's surprisingly good for. I mean, I enjoyed the base game well enough. I
Hmm.
said one of the better Ubisoft games of the past few years, but the DLC is like in terms of story content, very impressive. Actually, I like it a lot. But the other things I've been playing, a bit all over the place, bit scattershot this week. I mean, I'm normally scattershot, but this is like
Yeah, you are.
so. Because I'm in protest now against Beat Saber because they cut support for PlayStation VR2. I am now a hardcore Synth Riders guy, which is essentially the same as Beat Saber, but instead
Hmm.
of cutting blocks, you're just sort of like holding circles and you're guiding them along lines and things like that and doing punches and blah, blah, blah. Usual VR stuff. That's very good for getting a bit of exercise in, you know? Um, and then two things that I've circled back to. One quite recent, one way in the past, but I've come back to it.
Mm.
I've been playing a little bit of both Blueprints and Hotline Miami.
Hotline Miami. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's, I don't know. I feel like with we aren't quite in the craziness of the next couple of months in terms of big game releases and like coverage and things. So
Hmm.
I've managed to take the Avatar stuff quite slow. So I'm easing back into it, but at the same time, I don't feel like I can commit to another big thing because I know that something is impending inevitably. Can either confirm or deny. So I was like, well, you know, finishing Blueprints is a touchy subject, but I did get to like what is the end goal
Hmm.
and do that and do some extra stuff beyond that. But there were a few of the more complex puzzles that I didn't quite fully put together. So I've gone back to do some of that. And fallen in love with it again. I still think it's excellent. And then Hotline Miami, I kind of wanted the the quintessential feeling of a roguelike where it was just like just the one more go kind of thing. And I don't know what it might have been that I saw Hotline Miami discounted on Steam or
Hmm.
something, or somewhere. And I obviously didn't buy it, but it triggered me to remember that I have both on PS5. So I jumped back into the first Hotline Miami, and I'm about 75% of the way through the story, if you wanna call it that. I mean, it does have a story, but that's not really what you're playing for, so
Nah.
good amount of fun. And
Classic
then
game, really.
I mean, it is. It feels like it's probably retro considered now, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I can't even remember what year it came out,
When did Hotline Miami come
like
out? It's one of the
2011 or something?
Yeah, it's one of those games I feel like everyone has played and like everyone knows, but like 2012. So not quite retro yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah, near enough. Scarily close. Then the last game that I've actually committed most of my time to when I'm sort of resting in bed, I'm playing it on Steam Deck, is, Arco,
What is
um,
Arco?
which is, uh it was brought to my attention initially when, the guys who were representing the Balatro dev at the Game Awards.
PlayStack.
Yes,
Yeah.
those people went up to collect a couple of awards
Hmm.
for him, and one of them mentioned like, "Oh, you know, you can't give your award to another developer who you think is more deserving," and then they apologized specifically to Arco. I was like, "Huh, okay, so the Balatro guy loves Arco. I might as well just look it up."
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, um, it's a very pixel art style
It is.
game,
I'm looking at it right now.
but it is essentially it's an RPG with a lot of choice and consequence, very dialogue heavy, um, and it mixes real time combat with turn based combat. and it's telling the story of a number of different people traveling across what is essentially, sort of like the Wild West, a fictionalized, fantastical version of the Wild West, and it's really hooked me, man. Like I again, not a big sort of turn-based dude, but I think
Mm-hmm.
that the presentation, the music as well, and the way that they present the story and the choices, I'm not super deep in,
Yeah.
but I know that if I let it get a hold of me, it will just consume my free time. So I'm having to do it in very short bursts when I'm relaxing in bed in the evenings, but highly recommend it.
I've never even heard of this game, and I'm looking at it. It looks very interesting. I actually am kind of a fan of this pixel art that they got going on.
Yeah, very, very simplistic, but it's very intentional and quite colorful. Yeah, it's really, really nice.
Rick Davis in the chat says this is Super Hot meets Hyper Life Drifter.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah,
It's funny because you said Arco, and I Googled Arco expecting it to pop up. And what popped up was a 2025 animated science fantasy film
yeah, bit unfortunate. Yeah,
with that apparently was co produced by Natalie Portman.
yeah,
Never
not
heard
that
of
one, I'm
this.
afraid.
Never heard of this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a cool looking game. Hopefully, maybe somebody in the audience will see it and go buy it because it had a good amount of reviews, especially for an indie game. But like, they could always use a little more support, you know.
Yeah. Hey, if anybody does play it, let me know what you think because I want to spread the love about this game.
So I have been playing quite a few things as well. I rolled credits on Ninja Gaiden Ragebound,
Mm.
which I had started last week as we were talking. I didn't realize how short this game was. It's like only a few chapters, acts, whatever you want to call it.
Oh.
So very short. I want to say like I came in like 3, maybe 4 hours. So
Hmm.
it's a lot shorter than Shinobi, which I would put in probably that 8 to 10 hour range for like a main playthrough. Um, I think I like Shinobi better for my personal taste. I think the combat really flows, just like the strings and the movement tech that you have going on there. But I think Ninja Gaiden Ragebound was a good game. Again, I'm much more a 3D Ninja Gaiden guy, but like I had fun with it. I thought the level design was really nice. The artwork's beautiful. Again, even though I think Shinobi's artwork is probably more beautiful in my opinion. I think it's way more difficult than Shinobi. I definitely had to turn on
Mm.
accessibility options to get through it. So if you're going into it expecting like the same level of difficulty because you played Shinobi, completely different games. Like this is very much more of a, you really only have your one slash, or you can throw some kunais if you're a certain character or using a certain ability, but like you don't have as many options. So it is like try to dodge, get your movement right. It's very interesting. But I liked it overall. There's some nice things going on there. And again, glad it was short, but I had a good time with it. I do recommend it, but just be aware it's really difficult.
Is there, in terms of it being shorter, is it a game designed for like replayability, or is it just meant to be a short experience?
No, so there's some secret levels that you
Mm.
can unlock as well. I don't know if it's designed for replayability. There's two different endings, so like you can but like you could probably just replay
Okay.
the last chapter and get I don't
Sure.
think you have to redo the whole game. So I'm not sure. Like obviously replayability if you want like an S plus plus rank on everything, which like I usually hung out with like the B, A. I did get a few S plus on some I would say easier levels, but like I
Mm.
never got even close to that because you have to get all the collectibles hidden and you have to like kill all the enemies and complete certain challenges. Like don't let the boss hit you. Don't take any damage during certain sections. I was like, Jesus, I could never do that. Like this is not a game for me to 100%. So that's not something for me. But I did like it, especially it's on Game Pass now. So if you have that, check it out.
Nice.
After that, I was like, okay, what do I want to play? I got Game Pass. I'm looking to catch up on some things maybe I missed out on. So I started The Outer Worlds 2, a
What's that?
game, yeah, a game you're quite familiar with.
Mm.
Even though you seem to have blocked it out from your mind, I know a lot of people in the chat have played this as well. I have rolled credits on The Outer Worlds 2. I will say straight up, I did not do all the side content in this game.
Mm,
And I will say that because I think the game is good. I don't think it's like amazing.
yeah.
I think it's miles better than Avowed. Like
Yes.
I enjoyed this a lot more than Avowed. I think the choice and consequence here is a lot better. I think the companions are a lot better, even though like there's a few of them I don't quite like, but like Asa, I think is a really good companion. I think her whole deal with the cult that she's the gold whatever the dawn that she's the cult
Yeah.
where she's like, oh, we want to go into the rifts, I want. When she told me that, and then I found a rift, I was like, oh, let's go in it, and I ran in and died. I didn't realize that like it was a, and I was like, oh, I have to reload my save now. So she kind of led me down a path there, but I did. Captain Logan. I hear Logan. I'll turn myself up, see if that helps even out the sound. But I enjoyed the Outer Worlds 2. I did the companion quest that I wanted to do. I had a few bugs during my playthrough, which were frustrating. I had to reload and like go back like 20 minutes and then redo some stuff.
Yep.
Overall, I thought the science weapons were probably the most fun. I've had like big upgrade in terms of the Outer Worlds 1 to 2 in that aspect. Like I was rocking this what's it called, the N something scythe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the N ray scythe or
Yeah,
something.
N-ray scythe. So I was very like stealth based and like lock picking and I was kind of a dick the whole game, to be honest. Like that's how I like to play the Outer Worlds. I don't know why, because in most RPGs I'm like the good guy, like Mass Effect, I go Paragon. Outer Worlds, I'm like, I'm going to take the dumb trait and be an idiot. And it's like, oh, every time you have to get like a power cell, it's like, oh, I had foil and wires instead. So I like shoved it in there and that would like electrocute me, but it opened the gate. I just really enjoyed my time with it. Like, again, not a masterpiece, but like a good, fun, solid experience that I would recommend.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm famously in love with this game, so I'm glad that you share that love with me.
I can definitely see how playing 140 hours of it would drive you to madness. I don't think
Yeah,
it's quite that good.
yeah, yeah. Oh
Uh,
well, it's
there
behind
was
me now. Rearview mirror.
Yes, there was one faction in the game, the Order,
Mm,
who I didn't like, and they didn't like my homie, my Asa there. She's my favorite companion. They're like, whoa, 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 she can't come in with you. So then I was like, all right, well, what happens if I just murder you? And I murdered him. And then I was like, all right, now we can go inside. And at first you go inside and they act like everything's chill. And then you walk a little further and then they start attacking you again. And then for the rest of the game, and I was just a kill on sight order. So I was like, all right, this faction, I guess I messed up their whatever quest line. I didn't really care because I was like, this is the choice I made. So again, that's what I'm looking for in Obsidian games: choice and consequence.
yep.
From there, I have been playing two other things. One, I'm not going to continue playing. I'll start with that one. Styx, Master of Shadows. This is a
Mm,
stealth game that was free on Epic. I might check out the sequel that came out a few years later because I hear that one is co-op and maybe I'll have more fun doing that, like a full co-op stealth playthrough. But like this game is very rough.
yeah.
I don't. I'm like, I can't play this. I don't think I'm not having a great time. I think it's I don't think the stealth mechanics are very good. Is it like it's a shame when I'm thinking back. I'm like, yeah, I played Splinter Cell Chaos Theory in like 2005, and that blows anything going on in this game that came out 10 years later, like out of the water. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't think I'll continue with that one. The other game I have been playing, I'm halfway through, is the Until Dawn remake.
Mm,
This came to PS Plus. My wife and I were like, hey, we're snowed in here. We got 20 something inches of snow on Monday. We couldn't go anywhere.
damn.
So we got a giant blizzard. So we were like, oh, this is horror game, snow. We have played the original, so like let's check out the remake. Let's see. And it's funny because like she's one of those people that doesn't remember things. Like
Mm,
she can watch the same movie, like give her a year, she won't remember what happened in the movie. Kind of the same, like we played this over a year ago. She doesn't quite remember all the beats. Like she knew one of the characters. Oh, watch out for them, right? Like she's like, what's the monster in this one? Like, what's the thing? And I'm like, it's so funny. Like I remember this game beat for beat. Like I'm playing through
Yeah.
it. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm noticing all the things they changed. Have you played the remake?
I haven't finished it, but I got
Okay.
maybe just over halfway through. So
Yeah, that's about where I am. Yeah. So I'm just noticing all the things they changed. Like they added like a new little intro sequence
yeah,
at the start of
yeah.
the game. And I was like, we didn't need this. I don't personally think. Um, they've I I don't mean this to sound weird, guys, all right? But you know the scene where Jess and Mike are in the cabin and then they throw the phone through the window
Mm-hmm.
and Jess runs out onto the porch and starts yelling, right?
Yeah.
In the original, she has a lot less clothes on than in the remake. So when that happened, I was like, why? What? Like, what's going? I understand, guy. Like maybe new modern standards, or whatever. But I'm like, what's going? Come on, all right, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just some weird changes. Like camera angles are weird. I don't know. I was like, this game didn't need a remake, but we'll keep going with it.
Hey, just go. You're not probably not long to wait now till the sequel.
That's kind of what I'm hoping, is that like the sequel actually happens, so like we can play this one and that we can roll right into the sequel, because I know that there's a scene at the end. She doesn't know that, so like
Right.
hopefully it would get her excited for a sequel. So we'll keep with it and probably finish that this weekend, because again, not a long game.
Nice.
That's all I've been playing. So I need a new
Ooh.
single player game to play. I don't know what I'm feeling like. Mario Tennis is out in a few weeks, but that's a multiplayer experience. I've been playing.
Mm.
Oh, actually, I did jump into some friend slop. I was playing Content Warning.
Oh.
Familiar with this game?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
where you and your friends just pretend to be content creators, but like you go into a hellscape with monsters and you like film them. So we're just like pretending to be like reporters or like ridiculous stuff down there and trying to get views. It's a little too on the nose for content creation, so, but much easier to get views in that world than it is in this one. I will say that.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. It's letting you live the fantasy, if
Hmm.
only. If
Yeah.
only.
Yes. So I'll look for a new game, see what I can talk about next week. But why don't we move on from that and jump into the news? It's a light news week. We do have a few stories I want to touch on. So why don't we start with your topic first? Because that's the headline topic of the show, I think. It's about the
Yes.
PlayStation 6.
Coming out in 2 months' time, everybody. Shock horror. Yeah, no, I mean, there were a number of things that sort of percolated over the past week and a half ish, a number of different reports where we were traditionally expecting that both the Xbox and PlayStation 6 would be launching in 2027, but rumors are now suggesting that mayhaps that isn't the case, at least on the Sony side. You've quoted one of the financial analysts, David Gibson of MST Financial, saying that Sony, quote, expects the PS5's life cycle to be extended and, quote, the PlayStation 6's release is likely to be delayed longer than many expected. That comes off of the wave of what was it? Let's see if I can find Sandstone Insight Japan, who also quoted that the life cycle of the PlayStation 5 will be longer than usual and that the PlayStation 6 may be delayed until after 2028. So a number of reasons potentially why they're doing this, if they are doing this at all. I mean, I think here's how I'll open up the conversation, Kev, which I think
Hmm.
is probably one of the most important questions to ask. Do you like the idea of the PlayStation 6 being delayed?
I love the idea of the PlayStation 6 being delayed. I uh, personally, I don't feel like we need a PlayStation 6,
Mm,
especially not next year. Like the
no.
fact that we're we were originally, and maybe Xbox is still holding these plans as well, but like next gen was going to start in 2027 seems unfathomable to me, because I'm sitting here, like I boot up my PS5, I'm like, this looks phenomenal. Like you get 4K, can get 60 FPS, you get more than that. Like, I don't really know what more people are expecting. Like, do people think the PlayStation 6 is going to come out and be some revolutionary product? Like, we're never going to see a jump like we saw from PS2 to PS3, PS3 to PS, like PS4, PS5, PS6 are going to be very like modular upgrades, like improved frame rates, more steady frame rate, improved resolution, maybe some ray tracing features that, take them, leave them. I personally don't care at all about ray tracing, but like those are the things we're going to see, and maybe some hardware specific things. Like I think the SSD is probably like one of the biggest upgrades we had over last generation. Like things load faster, that's huge. But like, how much faster that can you get than instant, right? Like there are PlayStation games without loading screens. Like Spider-Man, what Miles Morales was like, do you want to see a loading screen? Like we could give you one, right?
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting place to be, where I'm very much to the mind, like I don't think the PS6 is going to be some crazy brand new, oh my God, I can't believe this is a generational leap in what we're seeing in games. I very much expect it to be like, oh, this is a PSI, but a little more powerful. Maybe has some new controller features, maybe like a hardware feature like Xbox has quick resume, something like that, right? But I fully expect, even when the PS6 comes out, and I've said this before, you're going to see logos that say PS4 slash PS5 slash PS6. Like you're going to have them releasing across all three console generations. You're going to have maybe less, if any, exclusives.
Mhm.
Specifically, like you can only run this on PS6, because why? How would that make sense in my mind? Like, what could a PS6 possibly have in it that is like you need a PlayStation 6 to run this? At that point, they're choosing to ignore the PS5 generation. I think that's kind of where I stand, where I'm like, I just don't feel the need for it.
Yeah, and I think that that's the. I mean, I know Nizar is saying that she might want consoles next year, which is fine. But I think the general consensus reaction to this kind of news, and even people pleading like Xbox to hold off, and obviously Nintendo's off the board for several years at the very least. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I put it this way: if a PlayStation 6 does come out at the end of next year, I will get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not yearning for it. I also am not on the side of the PlayStation 5 hasn't really gotten started. I don't really subscribe to that ideology. I think that the the nuanced take that I would form that opinion into is that uh it would be like there's more fuel in the engine, right? There's more that you can squeeze out of this thing. I think that, granted, there's been a few dry spots, but on the whole, I think first party output has been relatively consistent and good. Um, and I think if you're talking about like third party support, it's obviously never been better. So I think, yeah, I the one caveat, I suppose, and I don't know how they do this on the back end, is the idea that the PlayStation 6 might have resolved like the native emulation thing for PlayStation 3, and um, a more robust backwards compatibility. Maybe that is what they hang their hat on to sell it, but again, I think that that is something that only would then appeal to the hardcore. But if it's an iterative console, like we expect it to be, maybe that is who they are pushing it for, and the main driver for many years to come is still going to be the PlayStation 5 and the PS5 Pro. Um, that they have a number of factors going on in the world right now. They have, to be frank, the diminished Xbox competition, so that they are just solidifying themselves as the de facto choice more for people buying consoles. Granted, less people are currently buying consoles because of the macroeconomic situations. But also, I think obviously you've got the RAM thing, which could throw a
Hmm.
spanner in the works. And beyond that, there is also just the fact that, devoid of the Xbox part of the conversation, PlayStation 5 is still just doing very well for itself. You know, it's not like exceeding PlayStation 4, but it's keeping on track with PlayStation 4. And, you know, PS4 was supported for a long time after PlayStation 5 came out. I mean, it's still being supported in terms of third party, but first party is obviously cut off. So I don't know, man. I would prefer. I think my ideal frame time frame for this to come out would be. I don't know. I think the safest thing is to just say push it back a year and say like fall 2028, assuming that they can get RAM costs and everything sorted.
Well,
So
that's a big question, right? Because I've read articles that say they're selling RAM to these data centers that haven't even been produced for like years out at this point. Like they've allocated 2028 RAM already to AI data centers and everything like that. So I don't know if there is a world where like they can produce more RAM and things even out when we get back to normal price, or if this is just the new market we're in where things are going to be this expensive. I think that would bode negatively for electronic hardware like PlayStation 6, like the next Xbox, certainly, which I already expect Xbox, we know, is going to make a premium product. I think it's going to be 1,000 plus probably. PlayStation 6, I think they would love to keep it in a console price range. Like 700 is the pro, right? So I
yeah,
don't think they would like to go that much more above that potentially. Like, but there is a world where they say, hey, economic conditions mean we have to price this $800 $900. That means a lot of you aren't going to be able to afford it until we have deep discounts or maybe years down the line, right? Like those aren't affordable consumer products for the majority of console players, of households where people are looking to get these for their kids. Like yeah, it's just a different market that we're in, and I don't think PlayStation has figured out how to navigate that. I think Nintendo's a little more protected because they do sell cheaper hardware. Like they're not as powerful. They're not pushing cutting edge console technology. So I think they're a little protected from it, even though it wouldn't be surprising if we see a Nintendo Switch to $50 price increase this year, right? Like that would not surprise anyone. That's just the trajectory we're on. So like maybe 2028 we see better global situations, but like I s- I could I can see a world where people are like, "Hey, I'm cool until 2029, 2030 without a PS6. If the games continue to be good, as long as the consoles hold up, like I can't say even in 2 years I'll really be like, man, I really wish I could get rid of my PS5. You know, like I
no,
just don't
yeah,
see games improving that much. I don't see the economic conditions improving that much. Like to get a PS6, I'm gonna have to sell my PS5, right? Like put that money towards it, and then that's still probably gonna be a good chunk of change. That might be a cost of a PS5 was when it came out, even after I sell my PS5. So like, it's a big ask.
yeah. It, I mean, you know, people are speculating about whether the AI bubble is going to burst, and obviously all of that is moving very fast all the time. So there's no way anybody can tell what's going to happen. Hopefully it does, because I think that that's the only way that we get back to any kind of normalcy, not just in gaming, just in general. But assuming it doesn't, I think that you're right, and that would be why Sony is vested in prolonging the PS5 because I mean, well, actually, I don't take that back slightly. Maybe it still means that the PlayStation 6 comes out, but it is, as you say, sold as a much more premium product than maybe they would have initially hoped for.
What if they treat it like a PS5 Pro, but like it's the PS? It's hard because when you see the six,
Yeah,
we've been taught for 30
That's the
years
thing.
now to say, hey, this is a new console. So like putting a new number on it really would make people feel like, oh, I have to get this thing. But if you do treat it almost like a PS5 Pro, whatever you like, I don't think many people would feel like they're missing out on anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's how they approach it, where they do sort of not really define it as a next generation, as much as it would be by all technicalities. And they don't make a massive song and dance about it as they have in previous generations. But that, I mean, that feels weird because you know you still want to push it as if it's a not a must-have product necessarily, but like a really desirable thing. So God knows how they would navigate that. But I mean, in their defense, slightly, not that I'm trying to fling my defense towards them, they are currently in a pretty good position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that whilst the PS5 Pro was sort of rightly clowned on for a while, especially prior to release, I think in retrospect, it's probably actually helped them a fair amount now, because it's well, technically right now it's less expensive than
It's
a two
yeah,
terabyte Series X.
less expensive than an Xbox and more powerful.
Yeah, so I think like that has positioned them well, um, and it means that they have had like an interstitial upgrade since the release of the PlayStation 5 base. So it does feel like they've had a new-ish release compared to Xbox, which hasn't. Not that that's inherently a bad thing for Xbox. 'Cause I don't think it was a bad decision not to do that. But I think it just by happenstance, it maybe has helped Sony to have a revamped console that maybe they can use that as the excuse to prolong the life cycle, especially when you look forward at this year and you are starting to see the big first party stuff ramp up more, releasing more consistently. They've got a big year lined up with both first party developed and published titles. The elephant in the room of GTA 6 and
Mm-hmm.
inevitably how well that's going to do, and the consoles that it's inevitably going to shift. And then whatever lies beyond this year, where you know we will be getting again more of the big first party stuff from Sony, the Horizons, the God of Wars, yeah,
Intergalactic.
Intergalactic as well, from Naughty Dog, and I'm sure other surprises. So, and also, what is that plan with the PlayStation 6 in respect to this prospective handheld that they're doing? Is it something where it is a um, time aligned release where they are intending to release them at the same time, or is the handheld more of a like a portable PS5, which is sort of what it's kind of been pitched as?
Mm-hmm.
So could they separate that and then release that in, you know, a year and a half's time, maybe, or something, and then have the PlayStation 6 a year and a half after that? I don't know.
I I want to touch on that. I see some people in the chat making jokes, they're calling it the PS5 Pro Plus, the PS5
Mm,
Pro or the PS5 Pro Essential and Premium.
I like that.
Yeah. Captain Logan points out Saros is also coming out this
I mean,
year, right?
of course.
So I think bringing up the handheld is something we haven't even discussed yet, and that's a huge component of the leaks we've seen so far, right? Like they've said, hey, you're gonna have the PS6 console, then you're going to have this handheld that's going to come along with it. That's going to be essentially a portable PlayStation 5, right? Like that is the promise of this leaked. I shouldn't say promise. This is the idea of this leaked device is that the portal was an experiment to see, hey, are there people out there interested in playing games handheld? I think the portal has been an overwhelming success for them. It's certainly sold more than I ever expected it, and
Yep.
certainly I think sold more than PlayStation. So now apparently they're looking into, hey, let's run these games natively on this device. Do they put that out and say, hey, we know you love the portal, the PlayStation 5, right, is doing so well, you want that in a portable form factor you can take on the go, like that might be a good interstitial step to take between the PS6 where maybe you push the PS6 out even further because, hey, you just released new hardware. You want to see how this does. You want people to buy into this ecosystem. And then when it comes out, you say, oh, you'll be able to, I don't know, cloud stream your PS6 games to it because it probably won't run them, right? But like you'll still have your PS4, your PS5 games available on this product as you leave the PS5 generation kind of behind.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting prospect, I think, from that angle. I don't know if the handheld will ever see the light of day. I don't know if that's going to be something they scrap because maybe it's far too expensive to produce such a handheld, especially if they're trying to make it a mass commercial product. Like what does that price point look like for, because I know people were throwing around some pretty low numbers, if I remember,
Mm.
like a $500 price point for a handheld. Or I've seen people say the PS6 is supposed to be around that price too, and I can't imagine a world where either of those is true. But like I think of things like the ROG Ally, right, the Legion Go, even the Nintendo Switch 2, which is like 450, right? Like I don't see a world where you get a PS5 powerful handheld device for less than like $1,000.
Mm. Um, yeah, I really don't know, because if it is, I mean, you're paying, you would you assume you'd be paying a premium for the portability, so that would inherently put it above what you would think a PlayStation 5 would be, assuming that it can run the games approximate to PlayStation 5 performance.
Well, it's going to be
Uh,
that low power mode, right? Isn't that
sure,
the prevailing theory that the
yeah.
PS5 has?
And I think Sony have now or are soon to mandate that, to be supported. Um, so very clearly they are priming themselves for something, that isn't just an eco initiative, which is what they're framing it as currently. So I don't know, man. I assume, because inevitably, like, one of the core reasons that they'd be doing it is that they're trying to claw back at least a portion of the Japanese market, like, primarily, I think that that's the target. So, I mean, obviously not Japanese, don't live in Japan, so I'm not certain what their thresholds are in terms of pricing for those kind of devices, um, but it's interesting. I wonder if they d yeah, the whole, like, taking losses on the hardware thing, it kinda feels like it's over and done with now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, contrary to an Xbox, like, PlayStation literally needs the hardware to sell to survive. So, I don't know. Time will tell, I guess. I'm very excited. I do hope that the handheld sees the light of day because that will be another thing that I absolutely, lap up. I will buy that
Mm-hmm.
day one. I've said to you many times I've been this close to getting a Portal, and obviously now I've got the Steam Deck to sort of satiate handheld. But if I get a PlayStation thing where I can just, you imagine me cleaning up platinums, just letting bet I'm going to be a demon. It's going to be gross to watch, and I apologize in advance, Kev, and everybody watching. It's going to be bad.
We need that rumored PC store so you can just do it on your Steam Deck. Save everyone
That is
some money.
true. That is true. Yeah. I mean, hey, I'll be buying it regardless, even if they do a PC store. So I'm just a
Let me
heathen.
let me link my PlayStation account, all right? And then you just pop the like, right? You play it on Steam, pop the platinum.
Separate trophy lists.
That's right. You can have the Steam trophy list. That'd be crazy.
Don't
But
threaten me with a good time.
well, we'll see what happens to the PlayStation 6. I I would say we probably expected to hear about it towards the end of this year, right? Like if it was coming out next
Yeah, sort
year.
of first preliminary details.
So
Yeah.
if we don't start hearing about it, I would suspect it's going to be further out.
I do wonder whether, it would be a bit unprecedented. I do wonder if they've made like an executive decision inside the company to delay it. I wonder whether they do like announce it in some way,
I don't think so because they never announced when it's supposed to come out. It's all just been leaks and conjecture from those leakers, right? Like
Sure.
as far as they're concerned, they never promised us 2027. So like they keep their mouth shut. You know, I don't think they really care about telling us that hey, it's gonna be 2028 now.
The only, like, logic I could apply to them saying something is to maybe tip some people potentially over the edge who are thinking, "Well, I've waited this long, and if the PlayStation 6 is coming out in a year and a half, I might as well not buy a PS5 now, I'll just wait."
Didn't
So if they wait
mhm.
and don't say anything, then you might not get those customers, whereas if you say something and you're like, "Well, the PlayStation 6 is it's still years away," then people might be like, "Ah, bugger it, I'll get a PlayStation 5."
Wasn't there a report this week that PS4 users were getting messages like from Sony being like, "Why don't you upgrade? Like, we got a PS5 now."
Yep.
Yeah, so it's clear they want people to move off of their PS4. But it's again not a base they can ignore because it's so large still. Even with the PS5 growing and GTA 6 is undoubtedly going to see that those sales skyrocket even more. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure.
Could you imagine a world where GTA 6 doesn't sell any PlayStation 5s and or Rockstar are like, "We found a way to make GTA 6 work on the PlayStation 4." I
It's
mean,
never going to happen.
I don't think that Sony would care because 'cause they'd still get a lot of money from it, but
I'm
that would be
honestly
scary.
expecting a PS5 Pro GTA 6 bundle or
I
something
would be amazed if they don't do that.
just to get people like maybe regular bundles too because it's probably more affordable. But like
Mm,
I do expect a bundle of some sort, and it's probably going to be like egregiously priced. But
yeah.
all right, well, PlayStation 6, you just stay away for a little bit.
Yeah.
Next up, Xbox is having some financial issues. Yes, shocking, I know. So Microsoft has reported their financials for Q2 for fiscal year 2026. The overall health at Microsoft is not in question. They've grown 17% year over year, which they attribute to cloud and AI. However, a clear outlier in their financial report is the Xbox division. To the surprise of no one, Xbox hardware revenue dropped 32% this quarter, continuing their 2 year decline at this point. However, what is surprising after multiple quarters last fiscal year of double-digit growth is that the Xbox content and services numbers, those are down 5%. Gaming revenue overall is down 9%. So Xbox has, I don't want to say been I don't want to say they're in trouble, but this financial report is not what you expect to see from the largest gaming publisher in the world. And you know, not everyone likes diving into financial reports, talking about the economics of games, and it's not my favorite thing to talk about. But I do think, as people that are interested in the industry, this is something that you can't really ignore a certain point, especially because you saw Xbox last year having growth, and we attributed that a lot to Activision Blizzard, right? Like they were putting out a lot of games, Call of Duty, whatever you want to say. Like they've been acquiring companies and putting out games, so you expect it to grow. The fact that we now have this quarter, which is for anyone wondering, the holiday quarter, October, November, December 2025, and you're seeing a decline in overall gaming revenue after what I thought was a pretty good quarter on the software side. They had the Outer Worlds 2, they had Keeper, they had Ninja Gaiden 4, right? I'm a little perplexed. They had Call of Duty in there as well, which I know not everyone loved this year, but again, a big game for 2025. I'm just a little perplexed. Like, if you're putting out a ton of first party content and your services, your gaming revenue is declining, where does that leave Xbox? Should we be concerned? Like, I don't know. I want to throw it to you and get your thoughts on these numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm relatively pessimistic about Xbox. I mean, I have been for, well, a number of years now since the what was it? The business update, where I just sort of kind of I'm not proclaiming to be an oracle, but I kind of expected this kind of thing to happen, um, where there would be sort of precipitous drops and it would be like a death spiral. And obviously, the hardware has been in a death spiral. I'm with you though that like the content stuff being down, obviously there are a number of other factors. There's like the Game Pass price increases, there's the lack of Black Friday sales or discounts or whatever. Like all of that is correct. But where I'm like 100% in alignment with you is I don't know what this means for first party or elements of their first party.
Hmm.
Um, because like you said, they had a very good year last year. Not
Hmm.
necessarily in terms of like consistent quality, but in terms of the amount of games and the cadence that they were releasing them. That's that's sort of the ideal scenario. It's the Phil Spencer, we want a game every quarter, and they had more than that last year. It's arguably the best cadence that Xbox has ever had in terms of first party releases. Now you would expect that considering the amount that they've acquired, but like Xbox are funding all of these games, keeping these studios lights on, all these people employed, and it's first party content. It's not like, oh, a game that they put on Game Pass that they signed a deal with an external studio. That's just paying one bit of money, a one-off, and then you got that game on Game Pass. That's a very different scenario than um just as an example, like an Obsidian. Now, Obsidian, I think, are relatively safe because just pump out so much stuff,
They're
and a
literally the
number of things
workhorses of Xbox. Yeah.
do very well. Obviously, last year wasn't excellent in terms of sales, clearly, but on the whole, they have a good track record. Um, but I don't want to be overly doomer, but I've said it. It's like when something like Keeper comes out and it might have been critically, overall well received, and that's great.
Hmm.
But so was Hi-Fi Rush, you know, and Hi-Fi Rush didn't sell, and it didn't move Game Pass subscriptions, and it didn't sell consoles, and obviously, in terms of that tango, there was also like the time zone and the language barrier. Like I get that, but when you're investing for multiple years in these studios to make content for your platform, whether it's Game Pass or game sales or whatever, and it doesn't accomplish any of those things, none of them, in
Hmm.
terms of the money, which is what talks at the end of the day, I don't know how that survives. And that's not me saying that they should die, these studios. I'm not saying that. I don't want that to happen, but I'm just being pragmatic. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the part of the industry that probably upsets me the most, where I see games come out that I really love, or studios that I really love that put out products, and they're not putting out crap games.
No,
It'd be
no.
different if Xbox was putting out fives, like if we
Yes,
were getting Redfall type games every like,
absolutely.
right, completely different situation. But we're not. Like last year, I think overall the quality bar was pretty 8 to 8 point, like they're putting out good to great games more
Yeah.
often than not these days. Xbox, I think, has hit that quality bar, despite what people on the internet might try to tell you, right? Like they are not putting out garbage games. Like these games are not bad at all, and some of them are phenomenal. Some of them I absolutely love. So when you see them not selling, not moving units, not getting a return on investment, whether that's through Game Pass subscribers, which I do blame the price increase for, people leaving the service. I think that is a big ask for a lot of people. So maybe they don't see the player engagement that they need to have these games be considered a success. But it is worrying because you don't want layoffs to happen. You don't want studios to get closed down. You don't want Microsoft, who based on these financial reports that I've been reading, the write-ups from people are like, hey, Microsoft as a whole, great position, right? Azure's doing great, cloud's growing, we're investing in AI, even though Copilot's a piece of garbage, right? Like, we're doing all these things. We made an extra $18 billion or whatever to our market cap. And then they have a redheaded stepchild on Xbox over there who's consistently losing money on hardware. And I see Logan in the chat say his hardware in a death spiral, or be poking it with a stick, asking it to move. I think the Xbox hardware is definitely in a death spiral. It has been for quite some time now. Like the estimates last year were like it sold like 1 million units, like total or something. Like it's not in a good spot. But like I look at all those things and I'm like, how long does Microsoft put up with that before they start saying you gotta find ways to make money, whether that's firing people, closing like that is what I'm concerned about. I'm not putting the blame at the feet of the creators, the studios, even Phil Spencer, because I think the Xbox division is trying to empower the creators as much as they can to a certain extent. Like obviously there's conversations like, hey, we want to make money, we want to focus on these big budget titles now, but it doesn't seem to be producing the results, and that is something I find strange. And I want to bring up a screenshot that went around a few probably weeks ago at this point, but it's from Alinea Analytics. And if we're all wondering like why the gaming revenue is down, and I see Kyle said in the chat, besides Forza, none of the other games are selling well on PlayStation. This is a graph from Alinea Analytics, who is a analytic firm that has, by and large, reputable numbers, right? Like they're often cited. They're not Circana because they don't get it directly from the publishers themselves, but these are pretty well established estimates. And you're looking at these numbers. This does not include Forza Horizon 5, which is over 5 million, I believe.
Yep.
Just on PlayStation. So Forza, phenomenal success. But you see the big titles that Xbox put out last year just on PlayStation. 1 million units of Oblivion, 500,000 of Gears of War, 500,000 of Doom, 500,000 of Indiana Jones, and then from there it's a quarter Ninja Gaiden. Like the Outer Worlds 2, 135,000, and is that in my mind? If Game Pass was, if this was an Xbox graph, and it's like, oh, people are playing these through Game Pass, like
sure.
I wouldn't think twice about it. But this is PlayStation. And this is concerning because I see this graph. I say, hey, you basically told the Xbox audience, we don't care about selling consoles anymore. We don't care about really, making this a place where exclusives live to try to drive people to this platform, right? We're going to go multi-platform. We're going to open it up and put games everywhere. You're telling me you did all that for these sales? You put all these games on PlayStation, which these could have been exclusives to Xbox to try to build your brand. You put all these on PlayStation for these sales.
And not only that, but they framed the multi-platform push, Project Latitude, as the thing that was going to help sustain them and, sort of save them, if you want. It's like I don't see how these numbers are saving anything really, and pure conjecture and speculation, but there is a somewhat decent possibility that the numbers that you're seeing of the sales on PlayStation are higher than the sales numbers on Xbox. So like I guess technically they got more sales than they would have otherwise, but if like Gears of War, I mean, I know it's as we agree, pretty shoddy port of a like 20-year-old game or something. Fine. But that would be the same as like PlayStation bringing over a remaster of Uncharted 1 or something to Xbox, and it's selling barely half, just over 500,000 copies. It's that's bad. Like it's a flagship prime IP, and just the PlayStation community don't seem to care.
Yeah, Logan says PlayStation gamers don't buy games.
It's true, we don't. That's right.
They're certainly not buying Xbox games from the look of it, and it's disappointing because I know Helldivers 2 came over to Xbox and that sold quite well from my understanding of the product. Helldivers 2 obviously is a big I like it's bigger than all of these games put together,
Hmm.
essentially, from a sales perspective. But like, I do think it's disappointing that like, okay, maybe we can write some of these. Like, maybe people played Oblivion in the past, right? Like, maybe they
Sure.
played Oblivion. Maybe they played Gears of War. Like, the 360 was a successful generation, right? But Doom: The Dark Ages, that's your brand new Doom in a highly regarded trilogy, right?
Yep.
And nobody's buying it on PlayStation. Like, obviously, we have to take into account the economic condition. Like, people don't have money to spend day one on games, but like a lot of these have been on sale since they were released. Like Indiana Jones, Doom, they came out in the spring. Tony Hawk
Yep.
Pro Skater came out, nobody cared about it. Ninja Gaiden 4, again, newer game, October. I maybe people didn't want to spend the money on it, right? Like there are little asterisks you can put on here, but like regardless, for a install base that is nearing what 90 million PlayStation 5s or something, these are abysmal numbers. These are not producing the returns that Xbox would be looking for. These are not this is not producing the success to say, hey, our multi-platform push is working. And maybe this year will be completely different. Maybe Halo remake, maybe Fable, maybe Gears E-Day, Forza Horizon, like maybe those games, the big hitters, when they put those out, maybe that drives success on the platform. But right now, it's looking like the strategy is very baffling.
Yeah, and to be fair, there is also the caveat of, well, how much did it cost them to how much manpower and time and cost did it take for them to do things like Oblivion and Gears of War Reloaded? Probably not that much comparative to new titles, right? Because you're just doing a bit of upresing and plenty of work still, but it's probably less costly for Xbox to have invested in that. So that's not to say that some of those sales figures, even if they are less than we might have expected or hoped for, doesn't mean that they didn't still turn somewhat of a profit. So there is that. But to your point, I have serious doubts about what this year is going to do in terms of Xbox ports. Like undoubtedly, considering what Forza Horizon 5 has done, Forza Horizon 6 will be a slam
Yeah,
dunk, right?
billions of copies, I imagine.
Easy, 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 easy.
I'd like to say the same for Halo. Halo on PS5 should be a huge deal. It
See,
should be
I
a
would have said the same about
novelty.
Gears.
Novelty alone should get you 5 million copies of Halo on
I
PlayStation.
would have said the same thing about Gears. Now, granted, Gears Reloaded to Halo Campaign Evolved, two, relatively
Mhm.
different projects, I would say. But I just generally, I don't think, and had this discussion before, I don't know that Halo really has it as an IP anymore. And you're selling it to an audience that doesn't really have that ingrained nostalgia for the IP. So, does it have enough to stand out amongst the crowd? Because again, you're selling ultimately a 26-year-old game to players who a number of players who might have played the game, but certainly don't have any like deep-seated love for the IP. So, especially when you compare it to the competition and the games that it will likely be shipping around in the latter half of this year, I don't know, man. I don't know. I would agree with you. Like logic would dictate that Halo on PlayStation, again, novelty, you nailed it. But I just don't know. I don't know. And what happens then if Halo Campaign Evolved comes out on PlayStation and it just tanks? Like what happens?
If it performs as poorly as Gears Reloaded, I think that calls into question, is it even worth remaking 2 and 3 like apparently their plans were, right? Like it would not be worth a return on investment at that point because these remakes are for a new audience. They are to get like Xbox gamers. We have them. We
Yeah.
don't we don't need the remake.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's like, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a backhand to the Xbox fans, but it makes logical sense that you would be trying to expose these games to the biggest audience, so that would be your primary target, like, fair enough. But again, yeah, it's like I don't know. Halo isn't a big deal on PlayStation. It might become one, but I don't have any evidence to suggest that it will, based on the numbers we've had for other big flagship Xbox franchises. So, and again, same with Fable. Like, as much as Fable does look great, it's like, well, people on PlayStation don't have any nostalgia for Fable. So is it going to be differentiated enough for people to buy in when, they have the Witchers of the world, and they have
Mhm.
the Kingdom Come Deliverances, and all these are very different games, obviously, but does it is it going to break through the noise of, and you consider the first party releases of PlayStation this year. Obviously Saros is a bit of a painfully probably going to be underappreciated. Hopefully it's a breakout. Hopefully.
It's funny that because if we're comparing, like if we were just doing a straight comparison,
Mm,
PlayStation first party releasing this year to Xbox first party releasing this year, like, am I crazy in thinking Xbox has currently the better announced lineup? I know you love Saros, and I know Wolverine's going to be awesome, but like in terms of number of games and like what the quality should be.
sure. I mean, and that's the risk that we talked about, where obviously it's a big year for Xbox, an anniversary year, and they're bringing out all the heavy hitters, and we've talked about that. Like, that should be great. Should being the operative word.
Yes, yes, yes,
What,
yes.
what if it isn't? And that amps the pressure up on Xbox so much. Not only because they're not only bringing back a number of these franchises in a big way after, frankly, a bit sort of abrasive and contested previous iterations. You got Halo Infinite, you got Gears 5. Now, not bad games by any means, but divisive, and they're all pulling back. Fable is going back to basics. It's a reboot. Halo is going back to Combat Evolved. Gears is going back to nostalgia bait with Marcus and Dom,
Hmm.
and they're all being introduced to an audience for the first time. So not only do you have to sell those games because they've cost a lot of money and taken a lot of time, but they also need to sell well, because if they don't, that's an optical black eye because they're your biggest IP and they sort of flopped. And they also have to be of a really high quality, because otherwise you've tarnished your big IP.
Uh,
So,
I think it's fair to say if if Xbox puts out their 4 big franchises and they don't sell well on PlayStation, that this multi-platform strategy was not worth it.
yeah,
Because
agreed.
what did you gain? What in terms of the damage you've done overall to the console base, the brand name? Like, there are, and I know people don't want to realize it because yes, more people playing games, great,
Of course.
fantastic. But I have long said for a long time, like, they did do damage to the Xbox brand. They did damage the console. Like, it's not an arguable point, I think, at this point. But like, if you put out your 4 biggest flagship IPs to spearhead your multi-platform approach for the year and no one cares, no one buys them, I don't think you can say, hey, our multi-platform strategy has been a success. I think unequivocally, if those 4 games don't do it, nothing will. You're going to have to accept that, hey, we're a publisher now that's going to maybe sell, maybe we'll have a Forza that hits it big, right? But like, most of our games aren't going to be these massive sellers. And you kind of just have to accept that, because there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. You can't turn back time and say, hey, we're going to recommit to exclusives now. We're going to push the Xbox platform. Like, that's over. That's done with. Like, you're a publisher that's going to have bespoke hardware for the hardcore. But
Mm,
it is what it is. And I hope that isn't the case. I hope Halo comes out and it is a big thing
of
on
course.
play. I hope Gears E Days comes out and is amazing and well received and sells. Fable. I want Fable to be a success, probably more than any game this year. And if I see PlayStation sales numbers that are like, oh yeah, sold 200,000 copies, I'm going to, I mean, not, I don't know. I'm not going to I'm going to be pretty upset because I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you doing? This is an IP that deserves so much better. But I guess we'll see what it is. But I do see some people in the chat. Captain Logan says regarding Halo for a 25-year-old game, I think most people who wanted to play it either had an Xbox or a friend who did in the last 25 years.
Yep.
Completely fair point. And then Rick up here had a question for us. He said, do these numbers, coupled with the atrocious sales of consoles and overall financial issues, start to cast an eye towards Phil and Sarah's plan and show Microsoft execs it's just not working anymore? And I think we kind of just addressed that question with I think we need to get through this year, get those 4 IPs out before we can completely say the strategy hasn't worked. But right now it's not working. It doesn't mean it won't work.
Yeah. And, to the whole like Phil and Sarah, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I think the reason that they're still there is because they do care about gaming, but they're also yes men that aren't in control. So they sort of do the bidding of Satya and the board, and that's how it goes. Like I think that's the long and short of it. So I don't know that if this year they struggle, I don't know that Phil and Sarah would be the target. I think again, it's why you kind of have to hope, ironically, that the PlayStation audience does show up for these games, because it's the biggest audience outside of PC for these games, and they have to buy it at full price. So if they don't, then I think that more so than anything is going to be the justification that Microsoft and by proxy then Xbox need to enact more cuts or studio closures or whatever. So yeah, I don't think Phil and Sarah. I mean, I think it's long been due that Phil just retires. More so than anything, he's probably tired. Like, just get out of there, man. You've done your time.
Yeah,
You've done your best. But
I don't know. They clearly have shifted strat. Like you don't hear them talk as much.
No,
The last since really the what it was, the business update they called it, right? Like since
yeah.
that, we don't hear them talk nearly as much. It's really just the showcases that they come out for.
Hmm. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Fable and Gears and Halo are all of them seemingly primed for the second half of the year, and that's going to be when PlayStation is releasing Wolverine. And Wolverine is inevitably going to sell several million copies. And they will also be marketing the ever loving crap out of GTA 6. And that's not to speak on the other bigger first party published or third party games that they have, whether it's Marvel Tokon, whether it is Neo 3, Phantom Blade Zero. It's malicious and evil, but I think PlayStation are priming themselves to, in some way, obviously they'll still benefit from Xbox releases, but there is a risk of some Xbox games sort of just being drowned out by the noise, and that's ignoring every other just regular third party release on
Yeah.
the platform throughout the year. So, and you have to think of other ports to PlayStation that we don't know about yet, either of games that none of us know are also coming this year, big or small, or um, you know, ports waiting in the wings like Starfield. Like when Starfield comes to PlayStation 5, that should theoretically be a very big deal, but I don't have confidence that it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, Starfield is another one that's supposed to come this year to
Yeah,
PS5, and that, despite people disdain for the game, I quite like Starfield. It did sell quite well on PC
sure.
and Xbox. Yeah, that was a bigger game. So I would think that expectations are that it sells quite well on PlayStation when it finally does arrive. Especially if it does come with the big update, the second DLC
Sure.
expansion, right? Like it's supposed to be a big deal.
Yeah, but, I mean, I mentioned it in the Discord, it's sort of, and again, this is me being the pessimist, which is my usual position that I like to take with everything, because I'm just sad. But
You're English.
yeah, I'm thinking I do wonder whether, like, the moment has kind of passed on Starfield, where, the sentiment is relatively mixed. I think a lot of people really enjoyed the game, which is fine, and a lot of people sort of thought, "Mm, well, it's not as good as Elder Scrolls or Fallout." So I would have preferred you to just do one of those instead. Um, and PlayStation players, are they chomping at the bit for a Starfield this year? I don't know. If hopefully if this second DLC that they're lining up seemingly with the port and the big 2.0 update, if it is a massive like comprehensive thing that is really like overhauling the game in meaningful ways, I think that they stand a good chance. And it seems like that's what they're trying to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, we have to wait and see whenever they do decide to unveil that. I'm surprised we haven't been hearing about it officially already.
Well, we know content creators have played it.
Yeah, but it like, I mean, I guess somewhat segueing into what the other thing we're talking about is like, when do we see Starfield for PlayStation 5? Um, do they decide to expose it to the PlayStation audience in the most direct way possible by including it in a state of play?
It's funny. I think that's a good transition to kind of our Patreon topic. If you want, if you're a patron over at patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia, $1 a month, you get to write in and submit topics for the week. I will choose one that'll be on the public show. All the others will be answered on our Patreon exclusive episode. Black Wyver got the right in this week, said, with the rumored state of play around the corner, what are your predictions for the show? Also, what are your expectations from Sony first party studios in 2026? I feel like we kind of addressed the second part of that question previously in another episode, but there are rumors of a state of play. There are rumors of a Nintendo Direct, which is supposed to be a partner direct, from
Mm.
my understanding. Both of these are predicted for the next week or so, right? Is my understanding. You're talking about Starfield. Is it out of the realm of possibility we see Starfield revealed at a state of play? I don't think so. I think that's completely possible.
I mean, it sounds crazy, right? Like, it sounds preposterous, especially, I mean, well, I should let me pull back. I don't think that announcing a Starfield port in a vacuum on a state of play is crazy, because they've already done that with
Wasn't
Flight
Gears that
Simulator.
wasn't oh yeah, Flight Simulator was there. Gears wasn't.
Yeah, I think Gears was included in like a show reel on one of the state of
Yeah, it was like
plays, but
what's
not like
coming. Yeah,
actively
yeah.
talked about. Um, so I could see that, but the issue is that the port is being lined up with the second expansion and the update, and that seems very strange to me if they decided to unveil not only the port but the new content um, outside of their own sphere. That I mean, it makes logical sense, because again, you want to expose it to the audience that is going to be buying it and making the port worthwhile. So State of Play is the perfect place to show off all the new content for the first time, but it does feel like a bit of a backhanded thing of, well, you're not even showing it off to your own ecosystem first.
I think it might depend on how large of an update it actually is. Like if it's
Sure.
mainly still Starfield and it's like Kyle just said it, Starfield Complete Edition or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, that's fair.
I think that's a completely reasonable thing to show off at a state of play, and I don't know many Xbox players would feel aggrieved by, hey, that's our game. It
Mm,
should have been shown off. Now, whether that happens or not, like I can fully see them holding it and like, hey, it's gonna be an Xbox showcase update, right? They always have that Bethesda segment, like here's the new cat coming to Fallout 76, right? Like whatever ridiculous thing that they got going on. But like PlayStation, maybe we see an Avowed trailer at it if we're talking like what Xbox could be showing at the state of play.
sure.
Avowed is coming. We have a release date for that. Would make sense to me, even in a highlight reel of like upcoming games on PlayStation.
South of Midnight too.
Yeah, South of Midnight. Also, like I kind of expect it to be more normalized to see Xbox games showing up in these state of plays. Now, that isn't to say like it's going to be dominated and they're going to put tons of stuff there. Like I fully expect most Xbox things to be Xbox event first,
Mm.
but like ports, updates or something like that. Like I don't see what the marketing beats would hurt there. So other state of play predictions, it's Saros will probably see another trailer for it. I expect mainly third party stuff, if we're honest. I don't think we're gonna see this state of play really be a big one for first party content.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the Starfield point, Starfield probably does show up, and it is probably the update. I could see them maybe. I mean, obviously, this isn't what the rumors are suggesting, but I could see a world where they hold the expansion and then like shadow drop it at the showcase in summer or something. That might be waiting too long, but I don't know. Um, but in terms of other state of play stuff, I think it's probably going to be like a relatively uh, I don't want to use the word boring, but just sort of like safe
Oh,
state of play.
if I see like Resident Evil one more time, I'm gonna lose it. Like Onimusha, I think would be fine. We need a release
Yeah,
date for that. But like I don't want
Capcom
to
will be
see
there somehow, whether it's Pragmata
we
or
need information about Tokon fighting Soul, the
we
Marvel
do.
fighting. Like I think that is probably their if there's a first party product, that should be the focus of the next state of play, right? Because that relative like realistically should be coming out soon, I should say. Like I hope.
I mean, I think it did say 2026 when it was revealed. So maybe. I mean, obviously, after all the betas, they got a lot of constructive feedback. We'll put it that way. And they haven't shown off any new characters yet. And we're, over over 6 months from its reveal,
Mm-hmm.
which is a bit concerning if it's coming out this year, because they just have to do a massive dump of characters or like reveal one a week or something until release. But put it this way: if Marvel Tokon isn't at the state of play, I'm gonna be concerned about it. Not that I'm ever like that interested in the game anyway, but I'll be like, what is going on with that game?
Yeah, it would. I've heard mixed things about the closed betas that they held, so I
Hmm.
would start to think that maybe they're reworking some things for
Pushing
the
it back a
game,
little
right?
bit, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think it's like generally just an update state of play, which to be fair is what their February ones primarily have been.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said Saros, I think that's fair. I think that there is unfortunately like a likelihood of like Neo 3 being there. I could see a
Comes
bit of
out
a
in
gameplay.
March.
I know. But like a bit of gameplay of Phantom Blade Zero.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man.
ma-
I
if you want to get really pie in the sky, maybe like a cinematic like story thing of Wolverine with like a splash saying
didn't they tell
"Tune
us that we
in."
would see them more in the spring or something? What was that time frame they said?
They did say spring
Yeah. So
2026.
I wasn't expecting Wolverine. Yeah, I was
I'm
expecting that at a further state of play.
I'm not expecting it, but I could see them be like, "Here's a 30-second vignette cinematic thing," and then they end it by saying, "Tune in early April or something for a dedicated state of play." I could see that happening, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't show up at all, and then they just announced on socials in a month or two's time, "Hey, in next week we're doing a 20-minute long Wolverine state
Mm-hmm.
of play." Um, Again, not super amped about it, but I could see another push for Marathon just before it comes out.
Oh yeah, no marathon. Yeah, that's a good shout. Marathon trailer, I think, would be in terms of first party. I, I here's the thing. I know there's going to be like a gotcha game in there. It's probably going to be like a Souls game, and like
Of
the
course, of course.
general state of play is what I could be wrong, and we could go in, and I can't remember which state of play it was, but like I remember going into one not hyped at all, and I was like, that was the best state of play they put on.
Mhm.
So like, there's always that possibility, but I'm not expecting it because we know I feel like we know a lot of the
It's just
games
known
this year.
quantities
Yeah,
as of right
yeah.
now. Yeah. They've got so much of the year mapped out. I mean, a number of things don't have release dates like Tokon and Wolverine and whatnot, but um, outside of that, like Phantom Blade is locked in, Saros and Neo and all
You
of
know
these
what
things.
Logan's right. Forgetting third party farming games.
That is true. That is true. They've got to have at least 6 of those. Although, if we want to have a little bit of fun, a little spicy, PlayStation do always end their state of plays now with something first party of consequence. So I think all indications would suggest that now is the
Metroidvania.
time that we do see the God of War thing.
God of War Metroidvania. Yes, that is exactly my. To be fair, we thought that the last. I
We
think
did.
the one state of play, and then they
We
showed a
did.
controller. They
Yep.
teased us hard. They were like,
Which
"Here's
is so crazy.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah."
why would you show that? Why would you not save the whatever? But yeah, all indications suggested that that was meant to come out end of last year, and then they pushed it to this year. The rumor is to add voice acting, which I think is a smart move,
Agreed.
to improve the seeming optical quality bar of the game. I would have been on board regardless, but to make it feel a bit more prestige. And yeah, I do fully believe that it's real. And if it is real, then it is probably, as of right now, maybe like at most 5 months away from coming out. I mean, I've said before
based
that
on their
like a
release
summer,
schedule,
early summer thing. So yeah, I think
so
that
as
that
well.
will be the closer.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think what's interesting, I think I'm more interested in the Nintendo Direct because I feel like there's a lot of unknown
Question
quantities there.
marks.
Yes, because this is going to be a partner direct though. But partner directs for Nintendo Switch 2 can be exciting because what ports are they going to bring? We have rumors of like Expedition 33 getting a port, Metaphor ReFantasio getting a port. And then is this finally the Nintendo Direct where we start getting the influx of Xbox games, right? Like, because they've been pretty gun shy about putting games on Nintendo Switch so far. And of course, developer kits were a big issue for that. Like, we all know that it's well documented at this point that Nintendo Switch 2 dev kits were not handed out. But we know Indiana Jones is coming out later this year, right? So clearly they have the developer kits now. Like that should be all resolved at this point. So like, do we start seeing Gears of War Reloaded on Nintendo Switch? Do we see Grounded 2? Do we see, well, Hi-Fi Rush isn't Xbox anymore, but like Hi-Fi Rush, I think was that confirmed already? That was leaked, right? I think we got the rating for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So like Halo needs to be a priority over there. Like, even if it's not this year, like we need to get these announcements and start building up, because I do think if they're not selling on PlayStation, maybe they sell on Switch. Maybe that is the avenue where they find their success, because I don't know. I'm just more interested to see like what we get in that aspect. In terms of other Nintendo Switch games, Orbitals is supposed to be there. That's that Haze. Yep. I want Haze Light. Haze Lake is what we're calling them, right? The co-op games. I'm excited for that if that does show up. Yeah, I don't know. It's just gonna be a third-party showcase. So probably a lot of ports, probably a lot of things that we maybe never play, but it will make an interesting show.
Yeah, and I could see in terms of Xbox, again, the obvious things of like South of Midnight, I think is another relatively safe bet for the kind of game that would be ported. So, because I don't think like the Hellblade 2s aren't crossing over, right? Like that's not happening.
I think Hellblade 1's on Switch, and I want to say it's like a cloud version, if I remember correctly.
God. Oh no.
So like maybe they put those on there natively now, but
maybe, yeah. Yeah, hey, you know what it's gonna be, Kev. Come in. Just pucker in.
I'm here.
This is the Nintendo Direct where you finally get Call of Duty on Switch.
Maybe we get a call. Yeah, maybe we do get a Call of Duty on Switch.
Black Ops 7 on Switch. Let's go, baby.
Just the one everyone wants.
That's right.
Yeah. Give me a Rare Replay on Switch. I've had that thought, like, because we're seeing a lot of games added to Play Anywhere, and they're porting the newer games, but like, is there a chance they go back and like port older games? Like, is it worth it for them?
Well, I mean, that's the weird thing that I don't understand with Xbox is that, and maybe it's something where, I mean, this is copium where they're just saving stuff up, but like even like the ABK stuff, right? That's like, oh, everyone's like, yeah, they're gonna put all the old ABK games in Game Pass.
Yeah, where
Yay!
is that? Where is that?
And they haven't done that. But then like you had the thing where a few games got delisted, and then they had their licenses re-upped for
Yeah, I've
like the
reported on that for
Transformers
2 years
things.
now.
And nothing's happened there. So I don't know, because those would be the kind of things that I think, if they could figure out, would financially probably be the most viable,
Hmm.
because they're nostalgic games that a lot of people clamor for to this day, not just on Xbox, but probably would do on other platforms too. So I don't know. I don't want to be overly mean here, but Xbox are slipping more into the safe bet. That's just remake and remaster lots of things. And there will come a point where, if they want to continue that kind of initiative in elements of their business, they will have to step back into the back catalog. Um, Obviously, for the licensed games, that would still present a legal issue that they have to sort out. But I mean, hey, I'm with you. To be clear, I'm with you. I want a rare replay,
Yeah, rare
but
replay on Switch would go hard.
I don't
You know what else
know
would go hard?
what.
Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey remasters on
Mm,
Switch and PlayStation.
yeah,
Yeah, those would go
yeah,
hard. Just
yeah.
saying.
Okay, if you say so.
That's their audience.
Yeah, I suppose you're not wrong. Yeah, actually, fair, fair.
uh, yeah, Rick's with me. Lost Odyssey, hell yeah. I never played Blue Dragon, so I can't. I just Akira Toriyama was involved. I figured it would sell really well. He also did check Hellblade is native on Switch currently, so I
Mm.
must have been thinking of something else, probably a Plague Tale.
Blue Dragons from Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
No, that is Blue Eyes
Oh,
White Dragon.
all right, okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens with the State of Play and Nintendo Direct. If either of those things happen and we're able to live react, we certainly will. Stay tuned to our socials for that. But I think that'll do it for the show tonight. Um,
Mm.
nice meaty episode for everyone. Lively chat. Appreciate everyone talking. I see a lot of people on Twitch tonight having a good time over there. So if you're over on Twitch or YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Sam, before we go, can you let everyone know where they can find you?
Of course, people can find me anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon everywhere. It's a 1 instead of an I, O instead of an A. Follow us at Save the Game Media over on Blue Sky to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Until next week, we will see you. Goodbye.